Cheers, welcome to my channel. This is a daily tarot oracle reading, Tattle Tales from the Vector. This is a general or collective reading, so parts of it may or may not resonate with you. Take what works for you and just leave the rest. This is also a timely reading, so if you're watching it at this time, it is the perfect time for you. And having said that, if it's been a while since I did post this, what was going on in your life back then? That may give you further clarity as to your situation now. The underlying energy for from the bottom of the deck is the Emperor. So the Emperor is representing high-level performance. He is representing all four kings from the minor arcana wrapped into one person. So he has all those qualities. This is someone that is high-level performance. He wears his armor underneath his robe so that at a moment's notice, if an opportunity comes by, he can grab on. Or if he needs to get up and take care of something, he can. He rarely has to fight for anything because he's an alpha male, and beta males avoid getting into altercations with him. This energy sometimes can be controlling, but generally it's someone that is wise and an authority figure that maybe people go to for advice. And then we have the moon energy, which is talking about hidden illusions and secrets coming out. The moon is this lobster's in the emotional water here, and this lobster is wanting to go down his path here. He wants to stay in between these two pillars, and he doesn't want to get distracted. But right where he wants to go, of course, there's this dog and this wolf, and they're both howling at the moon, and he's feeling very vulnerable. But he's decided, okay, I have to get through here. So sometimes this can talk about being too domestic, like the domestic dog, staying home too much, not getting out enough, isolation. And then this sometimes means you're a wild child, and maybe it's time you came home once in a while to check if you have any mail. It's that sort of difference. And as he goes through this path, he has to make it through and this is called like your path of glory, like the path that you're destined to take. And we have the full moon, the sun, and the new moon here represented. This is representing eclipse energy. We did have an eclipse on the 17th of February and again on May the 3rd. So this can be an energy that is still percolating in the background. Eclipse energy is prevalent for about 6 months. And so you'll look back maybe around mid-August and say, wow, like a lot has happened since the end of February. And it'll be like, I didn't notice so much change happened in my life. But it's because you were so busy dealing with the change. And then we do have the energy of the Two of Wands here. And so the Two of Wands is representing someone who's standing on the turret of their castle and they're thinking about expanding. Now this can sometimes, the element here is the element of fire. So the wands are made of wood, and the wood is representing passionate action because wood fuels fire. Now, this individual is standing up here, and he has the globe in his hand, and this is talking about, I have the world in my hands. So he's feeling really good about his position, but he does recognize he's a big fish in a little pond, and he's thinking about expanding his horizons. You see this energy here, it is about, a distance across water, so this could just represent, a lake, or it could actually represent moving to another country or a new city or new province, a state, whatever that energy may be. Sometimes it does mean that. Sometimes it is talking about maybe expanding a business. This quite often reminds me of an entrepreneur who maybe wants to start franchises. They're successful and they've planted a business here, but there's not enough people to expand any further. So it's time for another location. It also can talk about relationships. Perhaps this person is ready for starting a family, meeting that special someone and starting a family and expanding in that way. It can mean many things, but it generally means taking passionate action. And then we have the Queen of Swords. Queen of Swords energy. She is, the Queen of Swords energy, she is representing someone who's standing on the turret of their castle and they're thinking about, I have the world in my hands. So he's feeling really good about his position, but it's because he considered to be the coldest of the four queens in the minor arcana. That's because she's been there, she's done that, and she has the t-shirt, and she is not in the mood for bullshit. So she does have her left hand out, so she's willing to receive, but she has her right hand with the sword in it, and she's like, if you come in with bullshit, off with your head. And she longs for the old days when a queen could just order that to happen. She's not in the mood. And this is talking about having her head above the clouds. So she is clear about what she will and will not tolerate in her life and how she wants to live it. This one little bird in the background can sometimes represent, like, she's independent. So this quite often can represent someone who is divorced or separated. That might be why she's, feeling kind of cranky. And then we have this energy here talking about the Four of Swords. So the swords do represent the element of air, and this is your mental intelligence and discipline of your mind. And this person has gone into a church or a synagogue, somewhere where he can chill out and connect with source energy, with God, and be able to be in a position where he's meditating and praying. So he's laid his mind to rest here, and then hung his mind up on the wall, basically. Like, I don't want to think, I want to feel with my heart. I want to know, I want to connect with my inner being. And this can represent the subconscious, unconscious, and conscious mind. So subconscious being the mind that is developed by the time you're about 5 or 6 years old. Most people don't have much memory of baby for sure, and very little of, before kindergarten, and so, unless something traumatic happens. Sometimes then people have memory or something really special. But generally speaking, and the interesting thing is that when you are a baby, you're like a sponge. Especially, you think what a baby learns in the first year. They absorb their environment and the culture, the thoughts, the feelings, the environment of the people who are in charge of their care. So this is heavily imprinted on us when we're young. And, it's how we learn how to deal with money, and how we learn to deal with relationships and all of that sort of energy. And, we don't really have much memory of it. So we have to be told kind of, oh, you were like this or you were like that, and rely on photos and videos, etc. So this isn't the most reliable mind, really. But when we get triggered, upset by something, excited, we have a tendency to rely on that mind. It's the first one that pops up because it's so heavily imprinted, but yet not the most reliable. And then we do have the unconscious mind, which is talking about our spiritual needs. And a lot of people will say, I am a human being with a soul, but from the soul's perspective, you're actually a soul traveling in a human body. So if the soul's needs aren't being met, then it can become very loud and argue with the subconscious mind and the conscious mind. Your conscious mind is what you are conscious of. I'm laying in a church here and I'm trying to make my mind be quiet so that I can meditate and pray and get some answers from my heart. That's the energy. So if you can get all three working together and they're congruent with each other, and plug that into your heart's desires, that's when you are really going to be going after your authentic desires. And this window on the stained glass window has the word PAX on it, P-A-X. So this is representing wanting peace of mind. And then we also have the magician. A magician is talking about bringing your thoughts down to earth to build a beautiful garden. And you have all the tools that you need here on this bench. But you have to learn how to use them, and you need to know which tool to use in which place. And if you've ever had this is infinite potential, to the power of infinity and beyond. So you can build whatever you want, and don't hold back. But you have to remember, if you've ever had a garden, when you just leave the tools laying around the yard, they don't get up and work on their own. So you're going to have to put some energy and effort into this. But this is definitely saying that you are ready for an energetic upgrade. And, if you put the energy into it, you're going to notice an improvement in your life. we have this energy of the Ten of Wands. Now, the Ten of Wands is really heavy, heavy energy. So this is talking about someone. This card has several meanings, actually. This is someone who has, the wands, they represent the actions that you've taken, which are like seeds that you plant, and the actions grow into these big wands. They can also be the actions of others that are in your life. So some of these wands, hopefully, it's so heavy because they're full of the fruit of your labor, and it's time to harvest. And so it's like this dude, he's trying to bring this harvest home, and it's heavy. So hopefully these are all laden with the fruit of his labors. And, when he gets there, then he can sort through it and figure out, where he's at. But some of these might be he might be carrying burdens from other people's actions or people that he's carrying burdens for. And so this is talking about, when this card shows up, it's saying, number one, don't quit now, because he can't see that he's almost home. Like, he's so close, but his face is so close to the wands here that he can't see how close he really is. And it's really typical of people that are almost about to reach their goal. That's when people have a tendency to quit. And they don't even realize it, because how would you know unless you keep going? But then people will say, I almost quit. And so this is, you may have heard of the saying of not being able to see the forest due to the trees. That's talking about when you're so up close on detail that you forget to look at the big picture. And so sometimes we just invested in, okay, get it done and do this and this and this and doing the details. And this is saying you need to take a look at the number one thing you can do to lighten your load is lay down any burdens right there in the field right now that do not belong to you. Like, if you're carrying burdens from other people and the load is this heavy, you can't carry it in anymore. It's slowing you down too much. Lay them down in the field and call the person up if you want and say, you know what, I'm not carrying that burden for you anymore. Left it out in the field. You need to come pick it up. Don't expect for them to be, oh, yay, because a lot of times people would rather have someone else carry their burdens for them. But this is saying that you're almost at the breaking point. Like, you have to look after yourself here and make sure that, you can get home so that you can go through your harvest. Also, this can sometimes be saying you might be carrying something that really isn't a burden, but it's become burdensome. Like, for instance, if you purchased a home, let's say a house, and it was a good deal and you've enjoyed living in it and you really like it, and but it needs a little bit of work now before you can sell it, and you have an opportunity somewhere else and you just want to sell it, but you have to put all this extra work in and you have all this to do as well. So sometimes things that are assets can feel burdensome to us because a change in our circumstances. And so sometimes it can be maybe you can find a better way, like maybe you could find a property manager or, that type of energy to, find something to lessen the load for you, but still be able to, move through it and get the value out of whatever you were working with. And we have the Five of Cups here. So the Five of Cups is representing disappointment, regret, remorse, that type of energy. We have 5 cups and 3 of them are spilt. And you may have heard of the saying, don't cry over spilt milk. And this is kind of that, when the milk is in the ground, you're done. Like, it's a loss. You have to admit that it's a loss and just carry on. There's 2 glasses of wine here, and then there's a third glass. So, the cups in tarot do represent love. And sometimes it's romantic love quite often, but sometimes it's just love of anyone or anything. Like, so your family members, your children, friends, acquaintances. This can also talk about something you love to do or something you love to be. In romantic love, quite often this can represent a third party. There's 2 glasses of wine and then there's a third glass of whatever, but it poisoned the relationship. And it's a loss because it's spilt into the ground. You're not going to, whatever happened here, it's broken down the couple. This can also represent, a business partnership or sometimes family, arguments with family members, friends, that sort of energy. The best thing you can do in this position is turn around and notice, hey, I have 2 cups standing here. I can be grateful for those 2 and appreciate them, and pick them up, carry them down this path over the bridge over troubled water to my castle. And you notice this castle in the background, it's half dilapidated and half standing. So this is saying that you're going to need to have a good attitude to be able to get through this. You know, is the glass going to be half full or half empty? Or in this situation, the cup. So this is talking about having a good attitude, moving forward, doing your best to work with what you have left. And we have the Death card, which is talking about transition. A lot of people get afraid of this card, but it very, very rarely would actually mean a physical death. This is talking about a transition, and it's talking about rebirth as well. So this energy is talking about, you know, the Grim Reaper's coming into town, and he's a scary looking dude, but he represents this transition for many cultures. He's not necessarily meant to be something to be afraid of. But this older person doesn't want that change coming through. And he's trying to barter, hey, I don't want, you know, if we give you this, we'll give you that, will you stay out of town? But the one thing, well, the 2 things that they say you can actually count on are death and taxes, and maybe change. So people don't even really think about it, but change is happening every second of every minute of every day. And, you know, we don't really notice change unless it's really bad or really good. But really, all, you know, sometimes weeks or months or whatever can go by and we just don't really notice how much things change until we look back later. Also, or, you know, if you go to an old neighborhood or something and then you say, wow, like this neighborhood has changed. That's the sort of, you know, when you get away from something for a while, then it will look, you'll notice more. In the day-to-day life, we start, you know, paying attention so much to the details, we don't notice that big picture. It's coming up again. So this is talking about a transition happening. This older person is bartering, like, don't come through town. These 2 younger ones are like, yay, someone new is in town. They're excited. And even one of them is offering a flower, which is talking about the bloom of new life. Now, this also can represent a change, like in systems, in, you know, cracks in the system, that sort of energy. And this, there's been a king trampled here, and this isn't actually representing anyone in particular. It's representing things that you thought would stand forever. Like this, it's always been this way, it always will be this way. That no, things, even things that last a really long time can change. And sometimes that could be something, maybe even just like a hobby that you have, and you're like, oh, I love doing this, I've always loved doing this, I'll always love doing this. And then one day you wake up and you're like, you know what, whatever. And you know, and you're shocked, everybody around you's shocked, but you always love to go fishing. I know, but I've fished enough now, not interested, don't even want to eat it anymore, just done. And sometimes that happens. And so it can be kind of surprising, but it's just all of a sudden we are done with something and ready for new. That's a good way to be right now, because there's a lot of new energy coming in astrologically. That's been a real, actually this year from 2026 has been extremely, like, a lot of new energy coming in. A lot of planets moved into the sign of Aries, and Aries is the first sign in the zodiac. It's the newborn baby. And so it's like a lot of new energy, and some significant planets at that. So it's brought in a lot of change, a lot of, we need to kind of keep an open, well, we do need to keep an open mind. There's the AI, there's all this energy like happening with the files that came out. We've got like countries at war. There's just a lot going on. And so we have to like, adapt and move through this energy. There's a lot of change happening very quickly. And then we have the King of Wands here, and he represents the energy of one of the 4 kings. Now, he's been showing up a lot in the readings, and before I did this reading, I took a lot of time to shuffle and shuffle and shuffle the cards. I was just like, I'm tired of the same old cards coming up. And I'm just laughing because they're the same, like, and that's how it is. Like, this is the energy. okay, we're going to deal with it. Like, it's just, you know, it kind of is making me laugh because I took a lot of time to shuffle both of my decks, like, and scramble them and do everything I know how, because I was like, I want a real different reading. And I just like, okay, we're in the same type of energy. So there's just, it's good in a way though, because it's, you know, it's showing like, okay, this is where the energy is right now. So the King of Wands, he is sitting on his throne, and he's a visionary. He's moving forward. He loves adventure. You know, this passionate energy, taking passionate action. He is considered the sexiest king of them all, and you know, the kind of guy you wouldn't kick out of bed for eating crackers, because he's really charming, and he really like being a visionary. He's fun to be around. Like, he's optimistic. And he loves change, and he's also someone that can, you know, handle things. And so this is a and funny, and so this is that type of energy where it's charismatic, and you feel like, oh, like a breath of fresh air, pretty much. And then this is talking about him, you know, on the back of his throne here, there is these salamanders in a circle and this little lion here. And this is representing the energy of protection from fire, because that's the element that he rules over. And I noticed a face back on this, and now every single time I look at this card, I see that face. And I feel it's significant because there's two eyes, there's a mustache, and then there's this smoke coming out. And so that represents, you know, sometimes it could just say, hey, he's smoking hot, because he is. Or sometimes it represents where there's smoke, there's fire. So the thing about the King of Wands to remember is he has a tendency to be, when it comes to all this new energy he loves so much, that tends to be true of his romantic life as well. So he is probably the last one of the four kings that's going to actually settle down. So just keep that in mind. And, you know, sometimes this can represent where there's smoke, there's fire. So just be aware of that. He, when he's ready to settle down, he'll settle down. But all of the fire signs have a tendency to value their freedom and their independence. And so they have a tendency to take longer than the other signs to be ready to settle down and make, you know, a true commitment. When it comes to romance. And then we have the Seven of Swords here. So the Seven of Swords, now this is a, this individual is a shift disturber card. He is a walking contradiction. Don't quite know how to take this dude. Like, he's planted two swords here, and he's got five that he's sneaking off with in broad daylight. Like, he's wearing this red cap and these bright red boots, and yet he's being sneaky. And so, like, is he a thief? Because if he's a thief, he's not a thief in the night, he's in broad daylight. And because he is carrying the swords, and they represent mental intelligence and discipline of your mind, your thoughts, he could be sneaking off with intellectual material, or he could be sneaking off with, you know, patents or something like that. Also, this can sometimes talk about white collar crime, forgery, identity theft, and that. And there he is, sitting at his desk in broad daylight, and everybody's like, wow, he's such a dedicated employee. He comes in early, he leaves late. Sometimes he stays for lunch hour. You know, we're so lucky to have him. And meanwhile, he's pushing paper. And so sometimes it could be something like that. Also, the thing is that he is moving forward, but he's not looking where he's going. And look how he's carrying these swords. Like, who carries swords like that? Like, these are super sharp, and nobody carries swords like that. Like, he's not even looking where he's going. If he trips, he could really, really hurt himself here. And so this is so dangerous, and it's like, what the heck, you know? And you think, okay, if he's that careless with his own energy, how careless is he going to be with yours? So I don't know what to think about the shift disturber. You know, it's a walking contradiction. And sometimes this energy can talk about, like, the 7-year itch, which is talking about, you know, it's a statistically, I wasn't aware of this until I looked into this because it popped into my head, the 7-year itch. And I knew that was a movie Marilyn Monroe was in back in the old days. But like this is talking about a phenomena where statistically, if someone is going to get divorced, I didn't realize this. It's usually in the first year of marriage where you're like, okay, this is not for me. Like we're done. And maybe they call that annulment, if they can get away with it. But the next most often that people tend to get divorced is between the 7th and 8th year. Statistically, it's very high, and so they call it the 7-year itch. But this is what's really different. Is it also is true of people who tend to buy houses, and that came up, with this energy here. That people, they might love their house and they're like happy in it, but then all of a sudden one morning they wake up and they're like, you know what? I don't feel like living in this house anymore. I want to move. And some people have a tendency to do that every 7 years. This can also happen in businesses, like where a business could even be successful or whatever, and all of a sudden your partner comes in one day and says, you know what? I'm done. I don't want to be working with this business anymore. So it's this card can sometimes be that kind of energy. And I feel like there's a lot of energy of someone wanting to move, like could something happen different, that type of energy. And there's a lot of other people saying, God, I wish things would just stay the same. It's kind of interesting. But we have this is the Pentacles, the Four of Pentacles is talking about, it's not like, woohoo, we have lots and lots of money here. This is talking about Pentacles, first and foremost, are health, wealth, and happiness in the 3D. So it's not just about money, but the Pentacle is representing the element of earth. And so this is about earthly matters. And the Pentacle is shown as a coin because money, of course, is a huge part of how you're going to do in the 3D. We need to be able to have money. And so this particular card is talking about the 3 levels of making money. So this can be safe money, and it's saying you have a strong foundation. You are able to pay your bills and your mortgage payment, etc. But you don't have a whole lot left over for your heart's desires. And that this is your heart's desires. And then your crowning glory. Your crowning glory is when you're on your destined path and you're like, woohoo, I'm living my lifestyle. And so the Pentacles, you could have all the money in the world and still not be living your lifestyle. So they're not just about money. They're definitely about lifestyle. And this person does have his back to the city. And this is kind of the same energy as here. So quite often these two together in a reading, plus like this 7-year itch and, this energy here and transition, it's talking about really possibly wanting to make a significant move in your life. And this, he has his back to the city. And, this can sometimes represent like it's time to leave your comfort zone. It's time to move forward. Both of these cards are kind of like, don't play small. You sometimes have to take some calculated risks to be able to move up to the next level when it comes to making money. Now, of course, you want to do your homework for sure. Notice I'm saying a calculated risk. And if it's a huge investment, you make sure you consult with experts, like especially if you're, planning on selling your home and then moving to another country or something. You want to make sure you do your homework and, check in with people and find out, get all the information together. But if it is a good risk, and then it's sometimes it's good to leave your comfort zone. And this card sometimes can say that you've played it small sometimes, and it's time to move forward and go after what you really want if there's an opportunity that does come up. And this is talking about the Page of Swords. So the Page of Swords, this energy, The pages would work for the king and the queen around the age of like 7 to 14. Now that sounds really young, but remember, back in those days, the life expectancy was half of what it is now. So that they didn't have childhood like we look at it, or certainly not teenagers. You went to work, and from a young age, and out of necessity. And so this energy was the pages would, if they got a position with the castle, where that was a huge coup for them and their families. And generally they would come from the more educated people around, with the higher class people around the king and the queen. Now this energy represents communication coming in of some sort. So it's sort of significant, the age. Sometimes like the page energy can be some sort of communication coming in, maybe from someone that you knew back when you were in elementary school or in high school, like 7 to 14, and then 14 to 21, maybe early college days. Sometimes this can be like, oh, someone's coming back from your past, from when you were like a child, like when you were young and you were in elementary school. And this or high school energy, this could represent like a reunion coming up or some communication like that. Also, the page here, each of them has their element. And of all the 4 pages, this is the only one who's not super focused on his element. This is the sword energy again. So he already knows the logical question. He is wanting to find a creative solution to whatever that is. So he's looking away from his element here. He's looking away from the logic because he wants to think outside the box. And, then be able to come up with a creative solution. This is very much the King of Wands energy. They're more of an intellectual person. And so this energy is about thinking outside the box. Sometimes this can come to you, in the old days, it was always in person, and this would always be a male. But you have to remember, all of the characters in the tarot actually represent archetypes, so they're not gender specific. They can be male or female. This would be a male or a female in their feminine or masculine energy. And this energy could also be like, in the old days, it would always be in person. But this communication doesn't have to come in by person. It could be a phone call, a text message, maybe it's some documents or something you get in the mail. Sometimes this could be a scholarship or like something like that, like something, a degree, or going for a degree, that type of energy. This could represent something you see on social media. It could be an email. It could be a message from someone on social media. It could be going to an event and then running into someone and they have the perfect information. This is also saying if you're really considering, making a big move, like it's a really good idea to pay attention to what's happening in the news. I know it can be painful, but this is really good idea because it is... even 5 minutes a day, whatever's going on at the top of the pyramid is definitely going to affect everybody to a certain degree below. And sometimes you can catch like just different, trends that are happening or whatever that might give you like an aha moment, because this also represents like an aha moment, like a breath of fresh air. I know, like, how sometimes you'll be thinking about something and it's on the edge of your mind and then finally you remember it. And it's when you're like washing dishes and you're like, wow, finally. It's not when you're sitting there studying and overthinking it. So this is that talking about sometimes this could be like your intuition being really sharp as well, especially around this energy of the moon. And then we have the 5 of Swords energy, which is cutthroat energy. And it is cutthroat out there these days. When things get tight economically, people tend to become less happy-go-lucky is the word I would be using. So now this energy here is again talking about the same type of energy here. This person has just been in a battle with these 2 people and they have laid down their swords. So he's like, and this is cutthroat energy. I'm going to stand up and fight for what's mine. I'm willing to take the risk. And this is aggressive energy. Now, sometimes this can be overly aggressive. It's talking about conflict coming from outside. Sometimes this can represent inner conflict, and this would be you, 3 different versions of you. One would be the subconscious mind, one of the unconscious mind, and one of the conscious mind. So, that's the one he has the handle on. And this is saying, like, you need to meditate or pray, calm yourself down, get your mind to be quiet so that you can take control of it. You should have control of your mind. Your mind shouldn't have control of you. If you're in this energy, it represents inner conflict, and inner conflict will attract outer conflict, and outer conflict will cause more inner conflict. You don't want to be in a position where you're always having to battle for everything. Life should be easy. It should come easy to you. So it's talking about, if this is happening to you a lot, you might need to quiet that mind down and train it so that you can feel with your heart, what is it that I really want? Yes, because we have this card here coming up. And this is talking about being in a mental prison, like feeling trapped in your mind. It won't stop thinking, but yet you can't find the right solution. It's like she's duty bound, so she's wrapped up here, and she's got a blindfold on. Now, there's nothing holding her here physically, but in her mind, she can't make the move. And this energy this is talking about leaving your past behind, leaving your castle behind, wanting to make a move. Again, this is talking about that. So I think that's significant for this reading. And it's also saying that, at one point I feel there was way more water here. In tarot, a lot of water represents a lot of emotion, but I feel like now she's got her right foot forward, so she's taking a move, she's taking a step, and she's on dry land with her right foot, so she's ready to take action, but her left foot, is still in a puddle of water. So this is a shallow puddle. It's not saying like her emotions are shallow, but she has way less emotion than she did when she started. And these could represent thoughts that she's put behind her now. And she's like, finally, I've got one thought here. This is the one that I'm going to take action on. And so she's getting ready to cut her binds and take off that blindfold and face whatever this is. And sometimes this can also represent the thoughts of people behind her back. And the reason why maybe this is really leaving the comfort zone. But not only that, it can sometimes represent leaving people you love behind, or having to make a really difficult choice about someone you love that you feel kind of duty bound to. And look at this, then we have the Wheel of Fortune turning. So once you make this decision, though, it's saying that the Wheel of Fortune is turning in your favor. So this is talking about the past, the present, and the future all coming together in this moment now. So this is talking, you need to make this decision now. You've been this is weighing you down. It's time to make the decision. And the past, the present, and the future, there's 3 different wheels. And on one of these wheels are the Hebrew letters for the name of God, which is Tetragrammaton. And this is a sacred geometric symbol representing ultimate equalization. So it's like equalization of all forces and order coming in. This is God's plan. This is how God manifests, and this is talking about you being able to move forward in a strong way. Your fortune is changing, but you need to. It's time to move. Like you can't just be here in this energy for too long because it's holding you up. And then we have, look at this. We have commitment, partnerships, and okay, so marriage. So this could be saying that, you may have said, I'm never ever going to make a commitment in love again. But now this energy's making a transition, and you're like, okay, well, maybe I will if someone comes in. Now, the only person we really have here, we have the Queen, which could represent your energy getting ready to do this. We have an Emperor over here, so the Emperor might be wanting to offer a cup of love. Sometimes the kings can be the Emperor and it's talking about their journey to becoming the emperor. And but we don't have like a queen here anywhere, or someone that really, other than the one. So maybe the Queen of Swords says, this is talking about the Queen of Swords journey. Like when you're in this energy of feeling like it's about learning discernment, but it's also being cold after it, like not really wanting to participate in life fully. And maybe this is saying that the queen is ready now to move forward. We do have a king sitting right here, so maybe it's about these two. We'll see. Yeah, feeling left out in the cold. So I feel this is saying that this energy here, maybe the King of Wands warmed up the Queen of Swords, and she's like, okay, I'll come in out of the cold now. Like that's the type of energy, after doing all this inner work. And when we're looking at the Magician here, he's pointing as above, so below, and he's pointing to this transition of overthinking and being left out in the cold. We don't have the next card yet, so we'll see. This could be saying this is an energetic upgrade, that you've been doing this work. It's time to move forward. So I feel like this sometimes can represent tactics that were used to put you in this position. Sometimes this can be about just feeling left out, maybe because you just had, a divorce, or or in the past you have, and you just never have totally recovered from it. It can represent feeling upset with your family member. Like it could be a lot of different things. But sometimes this is talking about the tactics that we use on ourselves and on others, and governments use. It's just, when we have a flake or two that are coming together, it's like, snow is pretty. But when a bunch of flakes get together and it piles up, it can really feel heavy. And I feel like that's this energy. But this is more tactics. Like this is not a great place to be. There's only 5 pentacles for 2 people. This one's on crutches and has the plague bell around their neck. And this is like the plague bell was in the old days. They didn't have apps when, there were pandemics. So they'd have to, they'd force people to wear a bell around their neck so that when they came into town, it would be really loud. And then, it would be like, okay, the bell is ringing, run. It made it really hard to get a job. And this person doesn't even have shoes in the snow. So this is talking about really down and out energy. But sometimes it just represents a time of isolation. And sometimes this can be forced isolation. And sometimes it can be like, I just don't want to be around people, like the Queen is feeling here. But forced isolation, generally, rejection is God's protection. So if you're like, wow, I thought that I had the perfect marriage, and then, you caught your partner cheating or whatever, and it was with your best friend kind of energy. And it's like, I don't want nothing to do with anyone. Everybody around me knew about it. Nobody told me. It's that type of energy. So then it's you want to isolate, or sometimes this can be tactics of others wanting to cause you to be in this energy so that you can't move forward because they have something that you want. And it's better to keep, like, they like it better when you're carrying their burdens and doing the work, and then they can sneak off with the with the spoils. That sort of, oh, you don't want that house anymore? I'll take it for you. I'll do you a favor and I'll take it for half price. It's that type of energy. So we have justice coming in, and the justice is coming from the spiritual realm down to the physical. Hello, little kitty cat. And so this is talking about, she's wielding her sword of justice. She's ready. Look at her right foot is forward and her right foot is forward. So perhaps you're waiting for justice to come in so that, maybe some pentacle energy, maybe there's something going on. I don't see a whole lot of cards here representing legalities or anything like that, really. There doesn't, seem to be a whole lot of energy here in that regard. But justice can be like redemption from karma as well. And, this is talking about like her, you see how her right foot is peeking out, and so is hers. So maybe that justice is just going to be being able to move forward with a fresh idea or a new way of looking at life. And look at, that's what we have that's what no, the Magician is here. So we still don't know. This next card is going to talk. Maybe this will tell us what the Justice is about. A Tower hits. Yeah, so the Tower is when your intuition is telling you you need to pay attention to something. And that's the Magician saying, look, there's a transition coming. You got to get out of this energy. You don't want to end up, you don't want to stay here anymore. You're going to miss out on a major opportunity. I feel that's the energy. You need to take a look at what's going on here. You need to gather your resources. You need to be ready. And so the Tower is like, perhaps this energy is talking about, this person, this could be past, that you weren't paying attention when this energy was happening around you to the point where you needed to, or you didn't want to see it, that type of energy. And so our intuition is, the universe is trying to get our attention, hey, you want to take a look at that, but we don't hear the whisper. So then we get the frying pan treatment, whack over the head, like, pay attention. Something is, and you're like, that hurt. Well, that's nothing compared to what it'll be like if you don't pay attention now. It's going to get worse, but you still don't. Then the 2x4. Then lightning hits your castle, and you don't have a turret anymore because now it's on fire. So now you really have a lot of work to do. You see, it's that type of energy. There's 2 people falling out. One of them is totally shocked, and the other one's like, oh, it's happened. I got caught. I knew I should have dealt with this sooner. That's the energy. So I feel like that's kind of what happened here. And the Tower means you have to rebuild. And it can be really challenging if you're on the right side of the law. Generally, it is something that is going to really empower you, because you needed to look at the reality of your situation. It's still very uncomfortable. If you're on the wrong side of the law, it's like there's a lot probably that you're going to have to deal with. And that's what we have here. We have missing Pentacles energy here. So that's this energy here. Joe, that was such a good employee. Maybe that's why this person is looking and they're like, hey, I've put all this time, money, and energy into this, and this is what I got out of it. This is the energy that I'm in now because of this. And I'm used to being successful. What happened? I don't understand what happened here. So it's saying that there was something that you didn't maybe want to see, and you were thinking, it's not possible. But then you find out, oh, it was my best friend, or it was my partner, or it was that energy. And this is talking about investing a lot of your time, your money, your energy into someone or something, and getting very little in return. And it's affected your lifestyle in a very negative way. And then we have, but you come out victorious. Yay! Dum, 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 dum. So this is talking about you get up. And so whatever has happened here, I feel this is the shift that you needed. And so this is about moving forward, being victorious. And the very people that were taking maybe action against you here and saying, what a loser, are now saying, holy, look at this person. They are a leader. Like, we all would like to be in that position. And it's because you learned to rein your emotions in and discipline your mind, and started making some very strong actions that showed that you're a leader and presented you in that way. So this is really good energy. It's worth doing the inner work. We have hidden illusions coming out, having to, like, this energy that we've been talking about, like having to leave where you're at, or even if that's on a mental level, or if it's actually physically getting up and leaving, having an aha moment. And then the justice comes in because the reality check hits. And now you step into your role. Like, now it's like, oh, okay, I can't pretend this wasn't happening anymore. And one of the people is like, they are on the right side of the law. So they are like, yes. And I'm talking about spiritual and physical law. Because if there's missing money, this kind of energy, that could be these tactics, like this cutthroat energy. See, it looks different when we see this Tower coming in and missing coin. And so this is talking about some sort of commitment. I feel this is someone that you were committed to. That's what this is saying. The justice is coming through. but the Wheel of Fortune is turning in your favor. You could stand there forever and be disappointed, but you got up and you took some strong action and sorted through your harvest, put down the burdens that don't belong to you. So this is like the Emperor energy. This could represent someone that's coming in to as an authority figure to bring this justice in, or this could be maybe the Emperor is interested in this Queen of Swords energy now, or the King of Wands is. This could be the same person. This could be an energy of maybe she's not so cold anymore now. Decided, okay, I'm going to have a different attitude about life. I'm going to change my attitude. There we go. So, yeah, if you're leaving the reading here, thank you for your likes and your comments. I really do appreciate them. They help me build my channel. Consider subscribing. I would be honored if you did so. I'm going to clarify this now. Let's see if we can find out what, It's so weird because, like I said, I shuffled these cards, and this feels like a lot of the readings have been like very similar to this, but that's telling me that there's a lot of energy coming in around this. So let's see if these ones are any different. We have Virgo energy here. I'm just going to lay these out here for the first rows here. And this is from my Oracle, Tales from the Vector. I started this in 2007. I completed it in 2020, the paintings, and now I'm working on bringing it out. I do have a website, talesfromthevector.com. It has a gallery with all the paintings in it. I'm going to put the numbers in the order they appear in my in the reading here. So if you want to check it out, you can. They say a painting can paint 1,000 words, so maybe it'll give you some further clarity. We have Virgo energy here, so this is talking about really needing to communicate, and this is talking about analytical critique is really important, especially these days, because of all the new energy coming in. Neptune moved into the sign of Aries, and Neptune is a very significant planet. It's big. It has a big pull on us. And every 14 years it changes signs. And it was in the sign of Pisces for 14 years. And it just moved, maybe a month and a half ago into the sign of Aries. And it moved from Pisces. And Neptune Neptune rules over the sign of Pisces. It was very comfortable there. And it's talking kind of about this authoritative energy. But a lot more like the Pisces energy is like the senior executive of the horoscope. So this energy is very authoritative, that sort of energy, very much Emperor energy. But now Neptune moved into the sign of Aries, and Aries is like a brand new baby, screaming at the top of its lungs. And, for something so small, it rules like with an iron fist, if you've ever had a newborn. And so it's talking about like the way that energy, Neptune rules over the way we approach life. And so this is about relationships, about business, about all sorts of relationships, our relationship with money, our relationship with community, all of that. And it's changing. And so there's a big difference from the very last sign in the zodiac, Pisces, moving into Aries, which is the very first, the newborn baby. So a lot of people are finding this energy of analytical critique is really important. You have to take a look at things, from all angles, and then decide, okay, if I just tweak it a little this way, let's do a little experiment, see if that works. And if it does, then double up on it. And if not, then do another little experiment. It's not like the same old energy is going to work. A lot of people are going through this right now. And it's irritating because it's like everything we learned for the last 14 years about what is success, what breeds success, is altered now into this Aries energy. But it's going to be like that for 14 years. So you don't want to just be standing there feeling bad about it. Everybody's going through it. And so I also want to point out that when I do have horoscope signs, I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about the quality of each sign. What can we learn from them? If you have your chart done, you'll notice you have all signs in your chart, usually, or most. And so why not learn from this energy, and we can kind of maybe gather some perspective about others' approach and be able to use that to our benefit. Now, analytical criticism for Virgo quite often can turn to anal critique because that's how they are with themselves. They have a tendency to be that way. So you need to know when to draw that line between analytical critique, which is helpful, and anal criticism, and in particular, how you talk to yourself. When things don't work out the way you thought, you try a little experiment. Don't beat yourself up. It's okay. Like, for instance, even like these readings that I'm doing now, I've been doing them at a specific time, like usually around 4:35 and 4 in the morning, my time. But I find like as my channel is growing, the analytics are talking about, okay, there's more people on later. So I've been sort of experimenting in the last couple weeks with, okay, what if I try an hour later or like whatever. And today I tried, okay, I did when they said there was the most people on, and it was like, well, it was the worst result of all. So I'm going back to where I was before, but I mean, how will I know unless I give it a go? And so it's talking about having that, and no use beating yourself up. You just have to do the best you can with what you're working with. And so the transition, yes, this card is coming in twice, so there's a lot of change happening. And in this reading, there is a lot, like a desire for change. This is manifesting at a high level. This is definitely Emperor energy. And then using your insight. So take the blindfold off, be willing to use your third eye and your intuition as well as your logic for creative solutions. We do have the Hermit. The Hermit is after you've gone through a dark night of the soul. When you're in this kind of energy, you just had a tower hit. And it's talking about isolation. And sometimes, like as I said, sometimes rejection can be God's protection. And you might be looking back at it and say, whoa, it was a lucky thing I isolated at that time. And it's sitting right on this energy here saying, if you're going through a major change and you're trying to sort things out, you want to make sure you get in touch with what does your heart want, not just logically what to do. Then we also have Mother's Worry. I feel this card's been coming up a lot because there's a lot of people on the planet right now that are worried about this, worried about that. It's like really, really wild what's going on. And in the old days, I feel like there was probably there is a lot going on then too. But we didn't have all the information, instant information like we do now. So we know what's going on across the world, and we know instantly what's going on. So it's just a lot of energy. Information equals energy. And it can be overwhelming at times. There could have been some sort of abuse of power here. This is talking about that energy of karmic spaces. So, you can have the direct karma, indirect, and then there's all these karmic spaces that we can fall into. And everybody probably has felt like abuse of power at one point or another in their life, because a lot of times when people have power, they don't know really what to do with it if they haven't had it before. And then it's also, there definitely has been in the news a lot in the last, this year, in particular with all the files coming out of, a lot of abuse of power all over the place. And then, it's just every day it seems like we're finding out more about that. And there's another astrological effect that's really, really important, and that is Uranus, which can be a pain in the butt, is in the sign of Gemini. And it hasn't been in the sign of Gemini since 1941 to 1949. So that is a significant time period. And now we just Uranus moved into Gemini, and it's going to be there for the next 7.5 to 8 years. So, and Uranus in Gemini wants the truth to come out. And so the truth will come out. And that's what we're seeing. It's like almost like a truth a day keeps the devil at bay. There's so many, every time I look, there's just wild shift happening on the internet right now. If you see some of the videos out there of what's happening, people being exposed for this and that, and like from a long time ago. And it's, you know, like people that are really powerful people, and you just never would expect it from them. They're, you know, and then boom, all of a sudden, all this information is coming in. So it's got people kind of on edge. But if you're on the right side of the law, the truth is awesome. Like I'm like, let's have, like I'm all for it. God's judgment, I feel, is coming through. And, you know, this is talking really, we have to be so careful these days with all the AI. And there's a lot of information out there that's really challenging to like tell. Like AI is getting better and better. And then some people are just so worried about it. I think it's already, I feel like it's just a fad. I don't feel like it's going to be, you can't, there's no soul to it. So, but basically what it's talking about is, you know, really the only person that's qualified to really judge other people from a heart level, and this is about talking about unfettered heart, is the cosmic heart. And this is like, only God really knows what people have been through. We don't know what other people have been through that makes them do what they do. We may think we know someone, and then we find out, oh my goodness, like I had no idea. And so that's the type of energy that, you know, withholding judgment and like being really sure of your information. We have to double check more and more these days. Gemini energy, there it is coming in, right? That communication and that energy of Uranus and Gemini, it's showing up here. Where is it sitting on? Yeah, this aha moment, like, oh, that's what happened. It's that type of energy. It can be really uplifting in many ways. And also we have the World card coming in here. And so this is talking about, this is a new cycle, I feel, for the world. And I feel like we can worry about it all we want, but you may have noticed that when you worry, it doesn't do much good, really. It actually just makes things worse in many ways. And, you know, we're in a time of shift. And this energy, the World card coming here, I feel is just saying that. Now, what is that sitting on? Justice and the Tower. And that this card is coming out another Tower. And so it's talking about there's going to be tower after tower. It's you may as well just get used to it with Uranus and Gemini. The energy is shifting a lot, and it's just the world is shifting. And I feel like, hey, like the world always is, but I feel that there's more truth coming out of situations. So that when we have the truth of a matter, it might be hard to hear, it might be hard to deal with, but at least when you have the truth, you can make strong decisions because it is the truth. And the truth, what do they say, will set you free. And then we have the Aries energy at the top. So yeah, like it's that new energy. And you know, Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars is not dreamy like Neptune energy. Mars is like very, let's get her done kind of energy. And so we're seeing a lot of that as well. So I do hope this has been of benefit for you. If you're feeling like worried about where you're at right now, you know, just recognize that the best thing you probably can do is just do something that, you know, go have a nice hot bath, or, you know, do something, go for a walk in nature, do something to quiet your mind. And remember, like, life is supposed to be good. We're supposed to be free. We're supposed to be, you know, in a strong energy for enjoying all the beauty that the world has, not just always worrying about it. So I do hope this has been a benefit. Give it a like and comment if it has, and I consider subscribing. I would be honored if you did so. I really appreciate it. And I will have another daily reading for you again tomorrow. Bye for now.